Hello, everyone, and welcome to Eye Opener Society. Thank you all again for joining us here. It's always been a pleasure to have our audience joining us, hit and play, downloading our episodes. It's always exciting. And speaking of exciting, today, right now, we are at Mind's Eye Metaphysical. And if you follow this show for any amount of time, you know that my spiritual advisor, Jen, who's unfortunately not in the shop today, but there's a reason behind that. So, Mind's Eye Metaphysical, if you all know, mindseyemetaphysical.com is located at 3 Railroad Avenue, Marietta, Pennsylvania. And you can come by the shop. It's beautiful. As you can see, we did some arranging. So, it looks a little bit more cluttered. That's only because we had to rearrange things so we could get this podcast studio set up in here. But you could join online too, jump online. You could always place your orders if you're not in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. The reason I'm in the shop is because I have this beautiful woman sitting next to me. This is Yaree. She is a psychic medium, and I'm so excited to talk to her because I had a session with her. And I must say, the amazement, like from the moment I walked through the door, and I'll tell you, you knew nothing about me prior to, nothing about my wife, nothing. But we walked through that door, and immediately she said a few things, first things that were coming to her, and they were so accurate to something that happened just a day prior to me walking through that door, which nothing went online. You're not digging anything up. You're authentic, and that's what I use. So tell us real quick a little bit about you, what you're doing for the shop here, because you also do tarot readings too as well, right? Yeah, so tell us about you.
So my name is Yaree, Chahira, short Yaree. That's my nickname. Sometimes a lot of people have a hard time pronouncing Chahira. But anyway, so I've always been an intuitive child, and I would have to say that at the age of 14, Gary, I had an experience that was totally out of this world. It really was. I my mom was missing during that time. Not like, she's missing, we don't know where she is. It was like more like missing in action.
Okay.
And it had been more than about 2 weeks. Intuitively, I started to feel something like that wasn't right. And Gary, I remember going to bed that night and I just said, I definitely believe in God and in a higher force, the universe. And I remember saying, God, please show me where my mom is. I know that you can show me that and that I can find her. At 14, I had enough faith to know that there was another way, another portal, another site to another place that we can tap to. Although no one said that that was possible, I knew that was possible.
Okay.
Everything in my being knew that that was possible. So I went to bed that night and I remember crying and feeling really desperate because I knew something wasn't right. My mom was diabetic and I was worried that she wasn't perhaps eating or taking her insulin. And I was like really worried. So I remember I just fell asleep on the carpet, but it was the best sleep I ever had. It was though I wasn't even there and I wasn't, because what I'm going to tell you is going to blow your mind. So that night I fell asleep and my soul went to search for that answer that I had asked God for that night. And as soon as I got to that place, I remember seeing a white house that was presented to me in the dream with no address. I didn't know where this house was, the number of it. I didn't know anything. All I know was a white house presented, and I entered through that white house. And it was an abandoned house. Everything was dark. It was during the daytime in the dream. So I go up to the attic because it was 3 floors. I go up to the attic of the home. And in the dream, there were 4 white doors, and they were so bright, Gary, that I was like, is this even real? It looked like the cartoon white. So I remember knocking from left to right, and I knock on, all 4 doors. I get to the last door to the right, and I knock 3 times. And after I knock 3 times, I hear like a faint who. And in the dream, the door opens and it's my mom on the other side. And she looks like a skeleton that's alive. You know, like those anorexic women you see that look really, really skinny.
Right.
And I saw her, and in the dream, as soon as she saw me, she drops back and I wake up. That was the gist of the dream. Now, any
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old or any child or anyone, not even adult, whoever, right, will look at that as a dream and not question it further and just maybe even talk about it, maybe not, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did something further. I knew automatically, my soul recognized that that was an important message. I get goosebumps every time I talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was staying with this Dominican family, and her husband always took us to school. You know, they were very strict like that. They didn't want us walking, going to the store. So he takes us to school, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? I have to tell Danny. His name was Danny. Hopefully, he's still alive. And he took me and his daughter Joanna to school. So I waited till Joanna got out the car because I didn't want her to tell everybody, you know, this
Right.
was private information. And I said, I'll see you in school, Joanna. I have to talk to Danny real quick. So she left. And I said, Danny, I have something huge to tell you. He's like, well, what's going on? Is it something in school? I said, no, it has nothing to do with school. I said, this is going to probably freak you out. I said, but do you believe in God? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right, good. I was like, I'm going to ask you something. I need to go get my mom. He's like, okay, where is she? And I said, that's the thing. What I'm going to tell you is going to blow your mind, but you got to stay with me. You got to have faith that what I'm telling you, I want to know if you have the faith that what I'm telling you, you believe to be true. Because if you don't, it's going to make it harder for me to channel the energy to get there. He goes, what are you talking about? So I tell him the dream that that I just told you about the house and all of that. And I said, Danny, I don't know where she is. I don't know the city. I don't know. I don't have a number, a street name, a number for the house. I don't know anything. All I know is if I got that dream, that's not a dream, that's a message. And I don't think I have a lot of time, perhaps an hour before she collapses, before what I saw comes true. He's like, okay. He's like, okay, I believe you. But how are we gonna get there? And I said, do you really believe what I'm saying to be true? You know, I wanted to get that assurance, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And he goes, yeah, I really do. It sounds crazy, but the question is, how are we going to find the house if you don't know where it is? I said, I know. He goes, how? I said, I don't really know, but I know that I'm going to be guided there. He goes, okay. And I've always been Gary, now this is, I've always been scared to say the story
Mm-hmm.
because what I'm going to say, I don't know who's going to come for me.
Okay. Okay.
But all I know is that he says, how are we going to find it? I said, we're going to find it. I'm going to be guided there. I said, just give me a minute, I told him. And I went like that. And then I remember putting my head down, closing my eyes like this. And I stayed there for about a minute or two. And then I opened my eyes and I said, okay, I'm ready. He goes, okay. I'm like, start driving. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to be guided and then I'm going to guide you there. He goes, okay. I said, so if I tell you to turn somewhere, we're not going to question it. I'm not going to question it. And then you're just going to turn. He goes, okay. So he starts driving. And then I'm giving him directions. I'm telling him go left and then go right or whatever. And a little further down the road, Gary, all I know is about a mile, 1.2 miles away, I suddenly see the house in my mind's eye that I saw the night before, right in front of me. And I scream, I'm like, Danny, that's the house. That's the house. Oh my God, that's she's there. And he goes, Are you sure? I'm like, yes, I'm looking at it in my mind's eye. It's the same exact house. This gotta be it. So he goes, okay. I'm like, just pull here and we're gonna go in. I said, we already know that that's an abandoned house. So we're gonna be careful that there's nobody's there. I said, once we do that, let me go first, and we're just gonna go straight to the top. We're gonna go straight to the attic, to the fourth door to the right. He goes, okay. So I'm running up the steps, running to the third floor. I'm like, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her. God. And I'm running to the top and I'm knocking on that door. I'm not even knocking from left to right anymore. I already know where she is. I got the info a few hours before. I hear the faint who in real life, in real time. I said, Danny, she's here. She's here. And, at that time, there were no cell phones. So I said, we're going to have to, next door, there was a post office. I said, go next door and call 911 once, we saw her. She opens the door. The same exact image I saw just hours ago. It's right in front of me right now in real time. She sees me and she collapses back. I said, Danny, don't worry. But also in the dream, I was told that she was going to be there in that state 5 to 6 days. She woke up on the 6th day. She went into coma.
Okay.
On the 6th day, she woke up. My sister and my brother thought she was dead because she was in a coma. I said, idiots, why would God send me to go get her if her time was up?
Right.
Her time's definitely not up. She'll be back perhaps on the 6th, 7th day. She came back on the 6th day.
And prior to this, prior to 14 years old, normal life, no other.
I wouldn't say normal. I grew up under really hard circumstances. I'm not sure if that led me to tap earlier to my gifts. I feel like it did because I was more like a loner child my whole life. And when you spend time alone, you're able to tap into the divine gifts, your higher self, because you have no distractions.
And that's something, and for my audience especially, I spoke about this many, many times, that I don't care who you are, everybody has some sort of gift.
Oh, absolutely.
We all do. It's difficult trying to tap into that sometimes. It does. It takes that meditative state. It takes that alone time. It takes that quietness for you to figure out exactly what it is. Or someone can come to you and you can assist with guiding them to figure that out too as well.
That is definitely possible. It could be done through tarot. It could be done through just a psychic reading, or just simply talking. Being able to tap into that higher selves that we have, because I'm convinced that we all came here to work a specific job, only until we figure out what those higher gifts are that we were meant to use for humanity's purpose.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a while.
Oh,
it really does. It's no different than me talking about meditation. It's not a 1 hour session and you know everything about it. It's absolutely a forever learning. And when we start to understand what our gifts are and we can start using them, we realize we're using them for good. We're using them to not only better ourselves, we're using them to better the planet, we're using them to better other people's lives. And that's what I've always found so calming about being with psychic mediums and all, true ones, because unfortunately there's a lot out there that are just abusing not only their gift, or they're faking their own gift. But I think most people can see right through that.
Absolutely.
I know when I'm around somebody who has that energy. And again, there's a lot of telltale signs, like things that nobody would have known about me. You basically just said them. So coming to someone like you for a session, whether it be tarot, whether it be a psychic reading, it's coming in with that clear mind, that clear conscious, because yeah, a lot of times there are people that come in very skeptically,
Oh,
and that
absolutely.
kind of it draws the energy away.
It can,
It
it
makes it a
can make
little
it harder to
difficult.
tap. It can make it harder to tap if you have someone skeptical or someone that's kind of blocking from you entering in that field of gathering the information to help them through.
Right.
But that also shows the person where they're being restrictive in their growth.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be something they share with me,
Mm-hmm.
but they may consciously realize that perhaps after leaving, perhaps another time.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what, I feel that it will teach someone something, it would uplift something, it would help them realize something, it will confirm many things. And
And most, like everybody has their own way of doing things. Everybody has their own
absolutely,
ways of contacting, whether it be a God source, whatever it may be. Where do you feel yours comes from? What is your source? What do you think that is?
it's the fighter spirit of never giving up, no matter what circumstances you're faced with. And I would say most of humanity is going to deal with that. And it makes sense that the universe sent specific people that are going to be more experienced or have a certain knowledge, a certain rawness that comes with it. And basically just being able to say, I resonate with you. I know what you're going through, but it doesn't have to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the power to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to let go of patterns, let go of overthinking, letting go of, yeah, we need logic, but only in certain situations. Not everything calls for logic. A lot of it calls for intuition. A lot of it calls for us to tap into those things that our gut is telling us.
Mm-hmm. And that's great advice. I do that myself through meditation a lot of times, and sometimes it doesn't come to you all the time.
Right.
Like I say, these things do take a long time. When I sat with you, when I had that session with you, and I've been to a couple of other psychics too as well, and everybody has their own feeling that when you're with them. I will say, like, I think your readings are much more personable. You're a lot more connected to each other. You're a lot more friendlier. Your beautiful smile, everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, everything.
I try
It
to make
makes
it
people
lighter.
right. It does, and I think that helps people open up a little bit more too, and understand. Okay, well, yes, something is coming through
Mm-hmm.
you that's being told, and it helps people believe a little bit more. And it doesn't have to necessarily be belief. It's just like the tarot. The tarot could say one thing and it's not going to happen immediately. It
Right.
can, but it could be something that's looking into the
Absolutely.
future, or it could even be something in the past. It's a guidance. It's kind of like a roadmap for your own life. But some people can tap into things that are a lot more specific. And that does
Right.
happen. Like it happened with you. As soon as I walked into it, something extremely specific
Right.
that just took away any doubt I had as far as authenticity. I knew
Right.
right away
Right.
you were the real, thing
Right.
here.
Right.
And but then you placed me at ease. I was very comfortable with you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
extremely comfortable with you now.
Absolutely. And
So,
that's called evidential mediumship,
mm,
where you're able to provide certain information, as evidence
mhm,
that could be confirmed
yeah,
and can't be denied at that point because it has
right,
been confirmed
right.
by the person. And it's not information you get beforehand.
Mhm,
And it's actually really interesting how deep our minds can go.
mhm,
And it's all about intent. Intention is huge.
right. Yeah.
Intention is huge.
And so after that experience at 14, now you know that you have some sort of connection. How did you build on that?
Oh, wow. That so little did I know that perhaps a few months shortly after that happened, that I would be completely Gary, when I say completely on my own at the age of 14. I was already renting a room. I was working at McDonald's while I went to high school, but I kept this a secret because I knew if society knew that I at 14 was alone, that would stop. But I was so mature and so independent that I couldn't see parents or someone else other than me taking care of me. I also knew that if I wasn't alone, my focus wouldn't be as focused and I would be cluttered with distractions and other influences that I knew that I didn't need. So I took the mission on to stay by myself and make it work.
And so then that ability, your psychic ability, just
even more
came stronger through life. And
I didn't start doing any of this until later on in life.
Right.
Because you're younger, you have to build your experiences, you have to live life in sort of the normal way that you possibly can as a spiritual being, right? And then you kind of, but it never leaves you. You're always functioning as your higher self. You're always following your intuition and you're always making things better. And no matter what, I always feel like if you're led to a spiritual path, no matter what path you take, you will always go back to that spiritual path.
And then when did the tarot come in? When did you start learning about the tarot?
So tarot was interesting. I had spine surgery in 2016, 2017. And I feel like that definitely awakened, that put me through an automatic transformation, a spiritual one. And I received a message because I also hear messages. I received a message to go pick up a tarot deck. Prior to that, I was never into tarot, never even got a tarot reading myself.
Right.
Didn't know how to do it. And I sort of questioned it. I was a little restrictive at first, but I still followed my guidance and went, picked up the tarot deck, the Rider-Waite deck. And I taught myself how to read tarot. I took different classes. I took mediumship classes. I took different things. I practiced and eventually I opened up my YouTube channel. I'm on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook, not so much, but mostly TikTok, and want to rebuild back on the YouTube channel. But it went from there. It was like one thing led to the other. The essential oils open up your, those senses that led to the crystals, connecting with the crystals, working with the crystals, incense, things like that, meditation, HC frequencies. All of that will build your intuition, a lot of alone time, a lot of focus.
And you use, I know with the tarot too, it's just another tool.
It's just another tool. A lot of people like to see visual things.
Right.
Because they don't believe that how could you know this mentally,
Right.
So they want to see cards. They want to see the story being told.
Yeah.
But you could also tell a story without the cards. Cards to me, they could be more like a preference, or it could be looked at as a training tool. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's your perspective. There's no right or wrong.
Right.
It's whatever you feel most comfortable with.
And you
the pendulum. I love the pendulum.
I was just going to say
love
that.
the pendulum.
Yeah,
I actually have it with me. Where is it? Oh, let's show the pendulum. The pendulum is an amethyst with the flower of life. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I actually got it here at Mindside Metaphysical. I went up to the board where there's several. And this one actually called. I said, do you want to work with me? And as soon as I picked it up, it definitely responded to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen that way.
Right. And surprisingly enough, I was in the shop last weekend and I did the exact same thing. I picked up a pendulum off that same board. Same thing. I was sitting here talking to Jen and I was staring at the board and she says, what got your attention? And I ran right for one of the pendulums and I have it. Yes. I have
it always calls you. It just does. It really just does.
Yeah. So these are all tools that we use. We have,
but our intuition is what guides these tools.
Right.
And most people, and I think with time, and now even more so than ever, people are more open to these modalities.
Mhm.
They're more open to readings. They're more open to their own intuition,
Mhm.
and more open to discover their own gifts. So
Yeah.
I feel like this era is gonna take us places that we've
Yes.
never been. Pluto and
Yeah.
Aquarius, and just never
Mhm.
been here. We've never felt this energy.
Yeah. And with so much going on, there's so many distractions. There's so much in the news. And I think all this is to confuse us because they don't want our eyes to open
It's
up to this.
definitely all distractions. I don't even watch news
Right. Neither do
or
I.
TV. I just maybe
Mhm.
watch a series here or there, but television can definitely be a huge distraction. It really I feel like it harvests a lot of our energy when
Mhm.
we because we're our whole intention is put into it.
Right.
So it's like harvesting our own energy. We don't realize what we're focusing on
Mhm.
and how what we're hearing day in and day out is affecting us emotionally,
Mhm.
spiritually. The
Right.
amount of baggage we take in
Mhm.
is just like,
Yeah, we need to keep ourselves pure.
right, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's what
bring
we say.
garbage into your house. You take
Right.
it out, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't bring garbage into your mind.
Right. And that's what a lot of people are doing, not intentionally. I think we've been set up for this
Right.
from birth.
Well, conditioning has
Conditioning.
conditioned very well.
Yes.
And it's us being able to dissimulate from this, and,
Mhm.
and just get away from that.
Yeah. So yeah, we need to focus more. And I really do believe, and that's why I've done this podcast. It's to get messages out. It's always been subtle in the background. I'm talking about stories, but there's always something spiritual guiding you in the background. And we
Absolutely.
need to pick up on these things because that's how life is. It's not going to just hit you right away.
No,
You need to look for these signs. You need to figure them out. And it's all usually done on your own. We can provide
absolutely.
guidance, we
Absolutely.
can give answers as they come to us, but ultimately it's up to the individual who's going to take that and actually use it. And I think that's how we're going
It
to awaken
is.
everybody. And that's how we're going to get through this ascension that's basically going on right now.
Absolutely. And it's being done in a collective sense.
Mhm.
Maybe subtle or but things are changing, things are getting better, brighter days are coming.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely a believer that there's two realities.
Yes. Mhm.
A group may be experiencing something and another group is just not.
Right.
It's there, but
Mhm.
it's not affecting a certain, it's not affecting one or the other the same.
Mhm.
And it's
That's
just
life.
amazing.
Yeah, it's the yin and the yang, like we always say.
Absolutely.
There's good, there's evil, there's
Right.
light, there's dark. It's always going to be there. It's what side you want to be on, and you have to focus your mind on
Mhm.
that. I want to be on this side. Then you need to move yourself over there.
But it's also carried recognizing that dark shadow aspect of ourselves
Mhm.
because it's never going anywhere.
Right, it's part
It's
of
just
us.
finding balance
Mhm.
within it,
Right.
recognizing, oh, I am capable of this or
Mhm.
I am capable of that, and recognizing because you're capable doesn't mean you still want to do it.
Mhm.
It's recognizing that I'd rather do this and be more at peace.
Yeah. So why don't we tell the audience where you're at? We know you're at Mind's Eye Metaphysical.
Yes, mind's eye metaphysical. I'm also on TikTok as Lotus Intuitive Tarot. No, wait, is it Lotus Intuitive Connect? I changed it because
Okay.
I actually had like three impersonators. That makes
Oh,
you feel good, but you're like,
it
what's
does,
going
yeah.
on? It's ridiculous. So Lotus Intuitive Connect,
Mhm.
yes.
And the main
On
thing,
YouTube as well is the same name as TikTok.
okay, I'll make sure there's links in the synopsis
Absolutely.
of the show for everybody that wants to get a reading or,
Right.
come in touch with us.
And I'm here as well at Mindside
Mhm.
Metaphysical. I do the, in person or via Zoom psychic mediumship readings or the tarot readings.
Mhm. Yes.
Different prices for everyone, pretty affordable.
Yeah. And that's the great thing with this shop. Everything is affordable and everything is so peaceful. I always can meditate here instantly. I always feel
It's
so
great.
good
It feels
here.
really good.
It
Yeah.
does. So, and both we're at Mind's Eye Metaphysical, mindseyemetaphysical.com on the World Wide Web. 3 Railroad Avenue in Marietta, Pennsylvania. You can contact Jen at 717-286-3784. I believe that's a 4 at the end if my eyesight is not. I do have a cheat sheet in front of me here and I can't make out the font. I believe that's a 4. Yeah. So
yes.
but you could go to mindseyemetaphysical.com because all the information's right there. And again, this is the shop. This is the beautiful shop. Like I said, it looks a little cluttered because we had to move everything around a little bit. But again, mindseyemetaphysical.com. And Yaree, I want to.
If there's, chakra analysis, Reiki, or photography, that's great. I took that. That was awesome.
That's fantastic. I love it.
And it changes as you grow.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
Yeah, Jen offers so much services and it's always for the higher being. And Jen is on that highest vibration level. I've never been around anybody that's so high level like that. And it's so comforting. And you are as well. I mean, I honestly think we're going to be the best friends ever.
Well,
that's exactly the reason why. Yes,
this is it.
Yeah, we are. We are,
and I think everyone's building their. They're finding their tribe. They're finding their people.
Sure thing. So again, Mind's Eye Metaphysical, mindseyemetaphysical.com. Also, Eye Opener Society, eyeopenersociety.podbean.com. And we are on all platforms. And also check us out on YouTube. I've been doing a lot more on YouTube. It's kind of like a big bonus that's been going on. I don't charge anything. I don't have a Patreon, but I've been doing the shorts because people's short attention spans, which I don't really like, but I still am able to convey a message daily. So check out Eye Opener Society on YouTube as well. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check out the shop, mindseyemetaphysical.com, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.